All right. Good morning, everybody. For those of you that aren't here with us, this is being recorded, obviously. So up at the top, there's really nothing to talk about in regard to members of the group. As you know, we're looking for creative, catchy consortium names. So if you think of something, feel free to put that in the box or just come with that information on the 8th, and we'll try to come up with or finalize a name for the group.
Yeah, donation.
I suggested changing donation to development.
Okay.
That was my 2 cents.
Do this. Type in there the same thing, and then instead of putting donation, put in the other word that you just said.
I still like the corner pocket, but.
That was my one creative thought. That's about all you're going to get from me. I'm not the most creative person. So, as far as the external evaluator, we talked about that last time. As a reminder that KSDE will hopefully be providing us with a list of possible vendors, not recommending anyone, but just a possible list. And then if you have any ideas or contacts, please bring that information to the March 8th meeting. I did provide some resources over here that as we're trying to determine who that external evaluator might be, those might be helpful resources in helping us make that decision. The fiscal agent, again, if your district is interested in being the fiscal agent, one thing we felt like would be important was to bring their credentials to the March 8th meeting. Kind of as a precursor, it would be advantageous if that person has had some experience with working with grants and the funding side of it. And then also if it's a somewhat seasoned or experienced business director, not maybe somebody that's brand new, just because you might not want to throw that on them in the early stages.
No,
No.
not here.
No. The grant writer discussion. So Craig and I worked on a posting. If you look over to the right, the job posting is, there's a link right there that you can see. I posted it on Keeb yesterday. I posted it for, the deadline is about a week because I know we need to be making a decision. So after a week, the deadline will conclude. And then if you click on that share current applicant credentials, there is a folder in Google where I'm just dumping, there's a folder for each person, and I'm just dumping their credentials or things that they've been sharing with me. So you're more than welcome to look at those. So far, we have Brian, of course. There are 3 others. There's one in that folder that has no grant writing experience that I can see of at all. 2 others, Lynn and Dawn, both emailed me. And Lynn sent me her resume and an example of a literacy grant that she wrote. And then Dawn gave me his LinkedIn resume, and some information, of course, about himself will show up there as well. So that's what we've got so far, and we'll just kind of wait it out and see if we get any additional applicants.
We sent back to Brian, and Lori sent him a reminder, but we've never got anything back from him.
Go ahead, Holly.
I just talked to him this morning because I had sent the needs assessment to him last week, and I actually shared it via Google, and he said he did not get it. So I downloaded it today and sent it to him via email, and he's going to take care of it today or tomorrow with his class. So I would suggest emailing him and then maybe resending it, unless you already did, as a downloaded document, and just follow up with him to see if he got it.
Yeah, we sent it just as an email and a download the first time, and then she followed up with him, but he's not responded.
So we sent ours to him, and he actually emailed us back Sunday. I think it was Sunday with his suggestions.
Okay.
Well, I would just email him again because he responded to me this morning.
You said Lynn Norris has no grant writing experience. Is that what you said?
Who?
Lynn Norris. Is that the one?
No, she does. The one that's in the folder that does not is actually the one that had been submitted in Keeb, and it is she's the one that's sitting outside the folder. Is it Carrie or Norris or something like that?
Carrie Nichols.
Yeah.
Casey
I don't
Nichols.
see any, she's an English teacher, but I don't see any grant writing experience within that resume or no examples or anything. So
How'd the proposal look that Lynn sent you?
I haven't really, she
I'll
just
look at
sent it to me last night or this
Okay.
morning, so I haven't had a chance to review it yet.
Okay, I'll check it out.
She also was at Winfield, so I thought we might visit with Mark Littell and see if he, knows her. I think she was a teacher there maybe at one point in time.
Okay.
Is Mark on?
No.
No.
The next thing, I guess, is once that deadline comes up, I would say if we decide if any of them are worthy of interviewing, we probably will want to do that via Zoom, maybe on the 27th or the 28th, and just schedule one time after the other. There may only be one candidate that we want to interview, but probably just need to take care of that. Is that all right if I try to go ahead and schedule those, and whoever can participate, or?
Yes.
I'm sorry, say that again, Holly.
Okay, so the deadline, I believe, is Friday for Keeb. And after that, I can send out an email and make sure that all of the updated resumes, et cetera, are in that folder.
Okay.
And then maybe give you a day or so maybe we need to Zoom real quick and decide if we want to select any of those candidates to interview, or maybe we don't and we just go with Brian, or, we need to vet that out, talk about that a little bit. And then let's say that we want to interview Dawn and Lynn, we can set up a Zoom interview with them. I would say one right after the other, just in the essence of time and efficiency.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. That. All right. And then I don't have a document or anything, but I don't have any interview questions. I guess that's something we could talk about when we visit via Zoom. If we end up having a couple of candidates that we want to interview, we can come up with a few questions for them. Is that all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Craig's going to talk a little bit about several budget options. He had shared one with the group on, was it Friday? I've lost track of time.
I think it was Friday.
I think on the 16th, and there's a couple of additional options that are in there as well. So I'm going to give him some time just to talk you through those, and you can open them up and as he's talking about them, kind of look at the numbers and such. And then when he gets done, what I'll do is I'll explain to you how you can go into Google and open one up and make a copy. So then if you want to go in and create an additional option that you want to share with the group on the 8th, you can do that. And then we can figure out which one we want to use when we meet in March. Okay, Craig, go ahead.
Okay, so essentially what we've created here is, I just kind of made it analogous to state funding. So we would have a base grant aid per pupil, because we wanted to make sure that we want to include FTE, but not base it solely on that. So we looked at head count, and the first one you'll see is using head count at 45%, and then the 3 disadvantaged areas at 55%. And on this first one, we only included those numbers of your students, head count wise, that were above those percentage thresholds in each of the 3 disadvantaged areas. So when you look at that hurt any district that only had 1 or 2 areas that they met the criteria in. And really, this was just the first draft at creating a formula. After creating this and then looking at it and visiting with Holly, I realized really we should all be, just because that was the criteria for the grant, I don't believe that's what we should only count on. So we should count on all those students that we have in each of those 3 areas, regardless whether our district as a whole was over that threshold or not. So with that change in mind, that would bring us to the second formula. So in this formula, you'll see in rows 17 through 25, you'll see how the numbers play out, including everyone's head count numbers in each of those 3 areas.
So what percent is going to head count and what percent is going to each of those 3 areas?
In this one, it's 45% was weighted toward head count alone, and then 55% to the 3 disadvantaged areas. And then within that 55% that's going to disadvantaged, 50% of the 55%, if that makes sense, 50% of that 55% is based on free and reduced lunch, 30% on ESOL, and 20% on SPED.
Okay. Say that again. 30 on SPED.
50 on free and reduced, 30 on ESOL, and 20 on SPED.
I'm sorry, I'm going to need you to repeat it again. This is budget 3.
This is budget 2, and you
Oh.
can see the numbers yourself. If at the bottom you click on where it says weighted disadvantage tab, Holly, do you see that at the bottom?
Yeah.
If you click on the weight on the very bottom, there's a weighted disadvantage tab.
Oh,
Right
yeah,
there.
I see it.
Now scroll back up and you'll see those weightings up to the right.
Yes,
There
I see it now.
Mhm.
Thank you for pointing that out because I didn't
You're
even
welcome.
see that.
Oh, okay.
That's what makes up the 55%. And the only difference there is on the third spreadsheet is just playing with the percentages. We put head count at 40% and disadvantage 60.
So option 3 is head count.
40%, disadvantage 60%. And the makeup of the 3 areas is still the same.
You see it, Kelly, up at the top?
Yep. Yep.
So if you want to play with that, you can, or if you want to talk about anything or ask questions now, I will field any of those.
It really doesn't change that much money for anybody, does it?
It really doesn't. What does change somewhat considerably is from 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. Arc City amount does go down because originally we were only counting each district's disadvantage that were over the threshold, which meant no one had all 3 areas counted except Arc City. In changing the formula, I think it's more equitable to every district.
Okay, I don't know, Jan, is she from Arc City?
Jen is from Wellington.
Hi there.
Okay.
Hi, Jen.
Hi. Sorry I'm late.
It's okay. I didn't know if you were off today, and I thought, oh, I'm just going to text you because I had you in my phone. So
Thank you so much for doing that. We've got a couple of Zoom meetings going on at the same time. So everybody.
it's all
Yeah,
right.
Summit learning is going on as well. I've had one earbud in all morning in one meeting and my right ear in the other meeting. So
Yep, that's what I'm in too. So
Have we ever had anybody from Arc City join us?
Ron rarely joins us, but he probably has other things going on. Remember, I do record the session. I send it out, and then if people have questions or they want to visit with me one-on-one, or even, or Craig, I just volunteer myself because I kind of run the meeting. They're more than welcome to call me or just listen to the recording. So hopefully those that aren't able to join us, like Mark's not here today either, they have the opportunity to listen to the recording and hopefully acquire all the information that we're talking about.
Greg, you had said that you like one better than another one, or you want to say that again?
We didn't hear you. Which one are you liking? Budget 1, 2, or 3?
for Coffeyville,
Right.
2 or 3. 2 and 3 are fairly insignificant. I think it's about a $20,000 difference for Coffeyville over 3 years. So I won't split hairs over those.
The one thing we talked about in regard to, maybe I came up with this, the third one, was as the grant readers that are evaluating or looking at our budget, they continue to put emphasis on serving those disadvantaged students. So by increasing that weighting up to 60% and then just the head count to 40, we felt like that made a point that we were really trying to do that. Otherwise, it's very similar to the second option, except for I think it was 45 and 55, right? I'm not looking at it right now, but
Yeah, I was looking at the wrong one. Yeah, for Coffeyville, it's actually $3,000 difference over the 3-year period. And for Independence, it was $2,000 difference.
But I would think the one where we add them up, the 60% to disadvantage, if that's what it's targeted.
Right.
Well, help me understand, Craig, what you just said, because in budget 3, I'm looking at our total amount of 380, or budget 2 is 389,414. And budget 3 is 430.
Make sure, because we didn't make all the changes on both tabs when they got posted. So make sure you're looking at make sure you have the bottom tab on weighted on 2 and 3. So you're comparing apples to apples. Because when you look at the weighted on 2, Independence was at 433,000, and on 3, Independence was 431,000.
Gotcha. So I didn't have the
I just caught myself having the wrong tabs open.
What's the difference between the two? I mean, I don't understand the 2 tabs.
Because of up at the top, you'll see it's the 45, 55%. We changed to 40 and 60. So we're giving 60% to disadvantaged rather than 55%.
Okay.
But it really doesn't make that much difference.
No.
2,000 is what it does.
Right.
That's 6 for the 3 years for Parsons.
I think it's more of the visual there of them seeing that we're focusing more of or targeting more of our money in the disadvantaged area. When you see 40 and 60, there's a little bit more difference than when you look at 45 and 55. That's about it.
We agree. We think budget 3 probably looks best.
Okay.
That's what we agree with.
So we will, if you go back to, if you're not a Google user, and Kelly, let's say you and Rusty want to go in and kind of mess around with this, and you're a Google person, but if you go in and you file and you make a copy, then what you can do is a new title, and I'm just going to do this right now so you can see it. And you change the title, and then you would change it to, like, we have 3 options right now, so you would change it to 4. And then what you could go in, and you can put a description in here later, but you could go in and describe what your option 4 is. So when we meet on the 8th, if you have an additional option that you want to share with the group, we can definitely look at that.
I think we're good with option 3.
Okay.
Coffeyville is.
Yeah, I am too.
So is Parsons.
Okay. So when we meet collectively on the 8th, we'll, I don't know about Jen. Where are you at, Jen?
Yes, that's good for us too.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
So we'll just need to get, input from Mark and Ron when we meet on the 8th, and hopefully they agree with us and we can move forward with option 3. Let's see. Down below, just a reminder, in the Google folders is a place for you to upload your needs assessment results, and then there's also a folder in there that contains, and let me see if I can go in there right now. Are you seeing me moving around in the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so if you go, here's where you're going to upload your needs assessment data, and if you need help with that, if you're not a Google person, just send it to me and I'll take care of it for you. I know it's frustrating when you don't know.
Mine's in there, but mine is I just hand filled it because I never did find a form that worked very easy, and I was spending way too much time on it.
Yeah, and that's okay. You can just print the copy off and put the, run it through your scanner, and then
it's in the folder. When you go into that folder, you'll see ours there.
Yes, and there are quite a few that are done. And then if you go into the literacy plan folder, each of you has a template. So Arc City, Augusta. So when you get ready to answer the questions or complete your literacy plan, this is the template that Kelly created for us. And I'll just go in. I know Coffeyville has a lot of theirs done. I'm starting mine. We haven't met the second.
Does it need to be a Google Doc? I just used the template I have on my computer, and I was going to upload it when I'm done.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can do whatever you want to.
Okay.
I just put them in here as I just made copies of it repeatedly and put them in here. So you'll just fill it out, and then that way when we meet and we're talking, we have that data in front of us and will help us make some decisions about moving forward. And like Coffeyville, still, they haven't done their goals yet. I've only done question 1 or the very first part. I've only done this part up here. So does that make sense to everybody?
And you
Yes.
have to get your needs assessment back from Winfield, right? Before you can even start working in that.
We've been doing our own needs assessment. We did get some stuff back from Brian Sunday, but
comparison.
we're going to compare. But it may
Okay.
add something to ours. But honestly, what we have so far, I think, was better.
Yeah,
Okay.
we did not even send ours off to Brian. We're doing ours, and then we'll send it off to him to see if he has any feedback that would make
Yeah.
ours better. But
Yeah,
we're going ahead and proceeding. We're done through, I think, goal 1, and we're coming together again tomorrow to finish out our goals.
Okay, yeah, we're not far behind. We're done through letter G or H. So
Okay.
And if you're needing, like, if you need to kind of see some examples there, you can go in and look at the other districts and kind of, if that'll help you, if you're visual and kind of just need to see what something, even though your data and information may be different, at least it kind of gives you an idea of how to fill that in or how to move forward.
Yes, and Mark gave us his, and that
Yep.
was a big help. And we did kind of start putting in what we thought, but I didn't know if we needed to get that needs assessment back before we
No,
did something official, or if that
Nope.
was okay.
that was totally up to you if you wanted to use Brian or not. He just was making that available service to all of us.
Okay.
Here is actually Winfield's, and they had theirs done before our template was created. So the Word document here is a copy of their literacy plan. It's a little bit different format, but it's the same exact information. And then I just created a template for him, so hopefully he'll take the information from here and dump it into here.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Any other questions before we end our meeting?
Thanks, Craig, for putting all this budget together.
Yes.
That was good work. And thank you both for getting the ad put together this weekend for some other grant writers.
Also, I forgot, I sent a letter of interest to Susie as well. I think I sent it yesterday as well from the consortium, and I signed it by all of the superintendents and either the assistant sup or whatever your title is, whether it's curriculum director, technology director, etc., in the letter. So I had Craig and Kelly kind of look that over to make sure the content was okay before I sent it out. So that's been taken care of as well.
We talked about that, remember, in a different color.
I think that's it. I'll be in touch later this week and remind you or share some information about candidates and to go into the folder and maybe look at some of their credentials. And then I'll schedule a really brief Zoom meeting.
no, but for
So,
Yeah, I don't think so. If there is, I don't know.
I'm hyperventilating over here, Holly, at the number of tabs your screen has open.
hey, that's nothing. It's
You
usually
better
all
not
the way
show me
full.
your desktop.
yeah, that's
I know.
nothing.
Stop.
I usually have 3 different ones open with about 50 on each one. So
Oh, I don't
I know.
know if we can tell to calm down.
Okay, I'm taking them down so you can stop breathing so heavy.
You just keep-
I usually always at least have 15 open. I know, it's so sad. You know me, Kelly. You've seen my screen before. All right. I'll be in touch later this week with information about our applicants.
And March 8th, what is our start time on March 8th?
10 o'clock right here.
In Augusta, and we're just working until we're done.
Yep.
are we
And-
gonna are we going to schedule another meeting, other Zoom meeting before that?
Well,
Yeah, I'm sure we will. And when we do that, we can come up. I have kind of a tentative agenda put together, but some of that will depend on our grant writer and such. But I'll send out the agenda and ask for additional items to be placed on the agenda that you want to talk about, and before we finalize it. Yeah, we'll just work until we get done.
Okay, sounds great.
What is the March 8th meeting when as we look at those needs assessments and our goals, our literacy plans, that we start talking about providers that we might find to jointly meet our goals? Or
it'll probably, it kind of depends on the grant writer, but that is the time that we had decided we would dedicate to looking at our needs assessment findings and our goals, and trying to meld some of those together and figuring out how to move forward, in each of those goal areas.
I just wondered when we would do that. I know we all made it very, very clear reading roadmap wasn't a direction any of us wanted to go. So we're all on the same page with that, but I just wondered where everybody was at with regard to thinking about those providers.
Yeah, some of those conversations will occur. As far as selecting our provider, I don't think we'll decide on March 8th who that external evaluator is going to be. We might need a little bit more time to research that after we, once we get the list. I don't know when Susie will have that done, so I don't know how much time we'll have to kind of vet that out. And I'm not sure we need to make a decision on that so early.
Okay.
Unless you have other thoughts about that.
No, I don't. I just, yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll let you all go. Have a good day.
Okay, thanks everybody. Be careful out there.
Thanks, Craig. Bye-bye.
Bye.